Well, there was a second healing, and they're all quite close together here. Jesus was invited to dinner. Now, everybody likes to get invited to dinner, don't you? I do. I like, you know. I used to cook. I used to, but it doesn't seem to be very reliable for me anymore. I discovered these places. They're called restaurants. And this man or woman comes out and they wait on you and they ask you what you want. And you have a whole list of things that you can have. And then they bring it out all nice and hot. And then you eat it all. And then they come and do the dishes. Now, what more do you want? I can't imagine what more you want. And he was invited to dinner by a Pharisee. Now, that's highly unusual because the Pharisees and the Jews didn't get along too well. That wasn't the place you went to dinner. Let's put it that way. And while he was laid out, I never could understand this because I can't lay down. I always hated breakfast in bed. Anybody serve you breakfast in bed? No, I guess not. Nobody. But you know, if you're laying down, it's not a very comfortable position for us Western people to be in a position to eat. But he was laid down with his feet towards the door, and a woman who we would now call a prostitute just came in. Now, how'd you like that? You're having dinner and you're trying to impress your guest, and here comes a woman who is a prostitute. But you see, we're talking about a man here that ran around with 12 other guys who had kind of lowly jobs and a prostitute. But you see, Jesus knew where he was and who he was and what they were. And she comes in and she anoints his feet with oil. Now that today, you know, you can go down to Dollar General and get practically the same thing. But in those days, it was very, very expensive. Came in jars, and you'd break the jar and you'd put it on the individual, often on the feet of a dead person or a body of a dead person. And of course, everybody was aghast, but not him. Jesus was very much into the scene because, see, he looked beyond the outward form to the consciousness of this young woman. The Pharisees rejected her, and they really thought Jesus should do the same. It isn't fair. It isn't right. And after all, this is my house, and here she came in just busted. She didn't even knock. She didn't ring the doorbell. She didn't ask for the butler. The butler didn't bring her in. Nobody did. The maid didn't bring... Why, how dare she come in here? But you see, she would go down through history. Now, there were secrets in this healing, because Jesus healed this woman. First of all, the healing came through acceptance. Why do we have a tendency to shy away from those who are unlike ourselves? Isn't that odd? If they don't talk like us, if they don't look like us, if the ladies don't put on their makeup just the same way we do, or if they don't wear hats like we or coats, what, on and on, there's something wrong with those individuals. Why do we do that? Why do we think everyone needs to be exactly like us? I am surely glad not everybody's like me. Do we look into their hearts, or we just see the outer man? So the second part of the healing that Jesus partook of here was looking past the outward into the inward. Secondly, love was the second part of this healing. He looked through all of this outward stuff, and it said he healed her and loved her because she, what? Loved much. Wow. This woman of the street who took money for sex, but realized that there was a Christ presence greater than she was. She could attach herself to it. She loved much. Love is the quickest way to heal anything. Somebody called me this week and said, I can't tell you because we're on the World Wide Web, but said they were in a situation where they had been doing a lot of work with a group of people, and because they were tired, you know how it is, they got at each other's throat. and they begin to insult each other. He said, what should I do? And the only thing I can tell him is just spread love everywhere. Just love everything, everyone there. Just love, love. Tell them you love, show them you love them, take them out for dinner. Just love, love, love. That's the only thing that could heal a situation like that. The healing had to include the woman's consciousness. And she had a loving consciousness. Now, the woman's healing was the easiest in this situation. There were others that needed to be healed. The disciples and the Pharisees. Because as religious as they all were, they thought that Jesus should do something else with her. Kick her out. Tell her she's no good. Put guilt on her. Go ahead, put the guilt on her. Tell her about it. Tell her how it is. Now, very quickly, there's one more healing that takes place. Jesus is out in a boat, and they're going from one side of the ocean, or the lake, to the other side. And one of the things that takes place on those lakes around the around Jerusalem, the holy area, is that storms will come up very quickly. You will not even see them coming, and whack, you're in the middle of it. Jesus is asleep in the back of the boat, because you see, he looks beyond the outward forms. He didn't even recognize there was a storm. Wow, that's hard to think, isn't it? It's banging him around, he can't see it. Well, you see, there was a demand for change here. That's why he said, let's get into the boat and let's go to the other side, because he knew that they were in a stale state of consciousness and some things needed to be proved. And so he gets into the boat, falls asleep, and they start rowing. And the storm comes up. And what Jesus is saying to them is, let's experience new things. Let's see new things. Now, the people of Israel were led to the promised land, but first they had to go through many experiences in order to get there. See, we want heaven, but we don't want any problems getting there. And heaven is a state of consciousness that is opened by some of the experiences that we go through. I don't like problems. I never have. If I don't have to have another problem, that's okay with me. But I know I will. I will have challenges. I will have these things happen. And remember this, when you're on the top of the mountain, there's a nutty man down below. When Jesus was on top of the mountain, preaching to them, as soon as he came down, an insane man met him. And when you think you've got it all your little duckies in a row, somebody will come up and hurt your feelings. Or someone will come around and challenge you. But that's okay. You have to heal. Then the Bible finishes by saying he rebuked the raging waters and the wind. You see, you have to speak the word. You have to do it. Speak the word only and my servant will be healed, said the man who had a healing to take place. And get this definition in the New International Version. The Word of God is living and active. And when you speak that word, it's a living thing. It's a living thing. It's an active thing. You aren't just talking into the wind. And when you say things of a negative nature about yourself or others, that's a living thing. And as your consciousness is, so shall you be. God bless you.
Bless you.